So this is Good France. We are very happy to welcome you to this virtual conference. For the one who are not familiar with Good France is a food festival which aims at promoting the French gastronomy. And this year, we are very happy to organize it after 1 year of absence due to the COVID. We have some fantastic events in person in New York, and a fantastic event with all of you today, a virtual event with friends all around the world. So this year, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Atout France, the co-organizer of Good France, have put the one region of France in the spotlight, Centre-Val de Loire, which is a beautiful region that you should all visit and taste its wonderful food and wine. And also, we have decided to put on the spotlight on the women who are beginning or who are already revolutionizing the culinary world. You know that France is the birthplace of haute cuisine, like we have haute couture and we have also haute cuisine, but this culinary culture has traditionally been male dominated. Today, we witness, and this is very fortunate, that more and more women are opening their own restaurants, are becoming chefs, are becoming world-class sommeliers. And for example, for the one who live in New York, you know Pascaline Lepelletier, who had also organized an event with Good France last Saturday at the Consulate, who is a well-known New York sommelier who has been awarded the same year, which has been a first, the titles of Meilleur Ouvrier de France and also Best Sommelier in France in 2018. But I could also mention Dominique Crène, who owns a restaurant in San Francisco and has earned multiple Michelin star, and also Anne-Sophie Pic, that you of course know, who owns several restaurants in France, in Europe, and the flagship of Anne-Sophie is in Valence, my hometown, and it's a 3-star Michelin and one of the top restaurants in France. It is very exciting to see that global attitudes toward women in gastronomy are slowly changing, and that women, chefs, sommeliers, and restaurateurs begin to deserve the credit and the attention that they deserve. There is still, and this is unfortunate, but this is why we have this discussion and why we are going to fight. There is a long way to go before gender equality is attained in the field of gastronomy. And you know that attaining gender equality is the top priority of my government and my president, and this is important in all spectrum of economy and life, and gastronomy being one very important one. Today we are going to have a discussion hosted and animated by Vérane Frediani, and I really thank Vérane for it. Vérane, you probably know her. She's she has directed a fantastic documentary that you had the chance to watch online. The documentary is called The Goddesses of Food, Goddesses of Food, that you can still watch online. If you go to our website, you will have the if you have not watched it yet, you can have the code to watch it online, and this is fantastic. So you need to watch it. And this film gives a voice to dozens of women chefs from around the world who tells us about their tribulations, their trials, their challenges, their difficulties, their successes in the field of gastronomy. I would like, beyond Vérane, thank all the participants today who have agreed to take place in the discussion, and they are you will see in a different part of the world, which is the beauty of Zoom. You have Amanda Cohen. She's a chef and owner of Dirty Candy, an award-winning restaurant in New York. I would be really happy to meet you, Amanda. I don't know you yet, but I would be happy to meet you soon. She's a pioneer of the vegetable forward movement, and a restaurant was the first to offer an entirely vegetarian menu in the city. Laëtitia Visse, chef and owner of La Femme du Boucher in Marseille. So we're going to Marseille, a town also very dear to my heart. In this former butcher's shop, Laëtitia prepares wonderful meat-based dishes such as terrine and sausages. So we are not in the vegetarian world there, but with the finest ingredients. And Pat Levinson, she's head executive sommelier for the group PIC that we just mentioned. And we mentioned Anne-Sophie, and I'm really happy to also welcome Ms. Levinson, who is a master sommelier, and you will tell us about this wonderful work and job that you are doing to reveal the wonders of wine. I also welcome Hélène Pietrini, who is the managing director of La Liste. La Liste has been established a few years ago, and it has become an institution now. It aims at ranking the top 1,000 best restaurants in the world by aggregating the reviews of critics and customers worldwide. And we know that La Liste has become the most serious classification and ranking worldwide about restaurants. And I want to thank La Liste and Hélène Pietrini for everything that you are doing. And last but not least, I introduce Mashama Bailey, executive chef of The Gray, a restaurant in Savannah, Georgia, where you offer a very diverse cuisine, and you pull your inspiration from different experience in Europe, and also in your family's culinary roots in the American South. And I will be also very happy to visit you in the beautiful town of Savannah. So I will let you. I'm the only male speaker today. I will let you in the end of, and I will disappear right now. I let you in the end of Vérane, Frediani, for a beautiful discussion. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, for organizing and making it possible for us to meet today through Zoom. I think it's, I feel very privileged to be among all of you today. And yes, I did this documentary 5 years ago. It was called The Goddesses of Food. And in that documentary, I had Amanda Cohen explaining all the challenges and issues at that time for women in gastronomy. And I also met in that documentary Paz Levinson, the sommelier, Argentine sommelier. I met her in Chile. And today she works in France with Anne-Sophie Pic, the chef, a female chef in France who has 3 Michelin stars. So, and then along the way, I met all of you. Hélène, a few years ago when you were directing the World 50 Best ranking, and now you're back in France for directing this international La Liste ranking. Laëtitia, Visse, I met you because I did also other books about female chefs, and we met at that time. And Mashama, we met months ago in Paris, so I'm very happy to see you again. The idea today is to try to think about it as a new chapter starting for women in gastronomy, or for the history of women in gastronomy. I think over the last 5 years, we've been talking a lot about the primary problems and issues and challenges that women were facing in all those careers. But things are changing, and now more and more women are able to have a voice, to talk, to own a restaurant, to be also in the media. Some of you have been portrayed in the Chef's Table series, or in other TV shows, big TV shows. And so I think it's about time to think about what women want and what women want to implement, the changes you want to implement now that you have part of the power, if I may say so. So, so today I'm going to treat you as role models. You know, you're the new role models we were all looking for, all waiting for, and you are our inspiration, and you need, and we want to be inspired by you again and again and again. So to start with, could you summarize your journey? Like, who did inspire you to be where you are today? Who did help you? Who did motivate you? And what made you do this choice of working in gastronomy. So who wants to go first? Hey. Up to you.
Maybe I start that in the most. I mean, I'm not chef, sommelier.
Yes, but that's part of gastronomy.
Yes. So I was really not meant to be a sommelier. I think I was studying literature, and I have in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and I have to work a little bit because I need a little more money. So in Argentina, we normally can study and work. It maybe would take a little bit longer, but I start working in restaurants, and because it was the easy thing to do to have a little bit more money, and I was. It was not fun, and I was a little shy, and it doesn't want very well. And many restaurants said, "No, you're not the person for gastronomy. You're too shy. You don't talk too much. We need another thing." And I was really going to the bad places to ask for work, and I've been asked to go to another restaurant to say, okay, they need somebody to clean glasses and clean the dishes and everything. And I say, okay, this will be my last opportunity to gastronomy, and this is my last chance. I mean, if not, I change. And well, that was the restaurant where I stayed 5 years, and I really convert my life in this restaurant, because it was a restaurant that it was directed by a woman chef. She started in '98, and she was working in France also, and in Spain, in El Bulli. And she was a very strong woman that she has studied for being a psychologist, and then she do a little like me. She didn't finish. Well, I finished literature, but she didn't finish psychology to be really a chef. And I get really inspired by her. And I think if the restaurant was different, or different constitution, I won't be here now, like talking about sommelier. What drives me to the wine also, that I like to work. So in the restaurant, I was very open to work and do all the things. So I start like polishing glasses and doing like very commis stuff. And I wanted to study. I wanted to know. I wanted to also like a transformation of learn how to be in the adult world, because I was young and very shy, and the big city was something different for me, because I'm not from a big city. And I was very, very helped from this chef, Maria Barrutia. And then, well, lots of things happened. But initially, I think I was always being in contact with chefs, women chefs.
Thank you. So what about you, Mashama?
Good morning. It's morning in Mobile, Alabama. So for me, I think who encouraged me to get into cooking were the women in my family. I went away to a junior college, and when I came at 18, and when I came home, I had picked up, we had to cook for ourselves. We had our own kitchens, and I had to pick up, I picked up certain types of cuisine. I went to school with a lot of people from the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti. And by being around these 18 and 19-year-olds who all had to cook for themselves, they all cooked what they ate at home, right? They all cooked very traditional foods. So being exposed to that on a very intimate level, I went home and I started.
Mashama, sorry, you were interrupted. we lost you.
Yes. So I guess the short of it is that the women in my family inspired me. And then I went away to school, and I realized that, and I was probably living under a rock or something, but I realized that there was all this delicious food out there. And like Paz, well, not like Paz, but I ended up wanting to switch careers after college, and I went into culinary school and did a work study program in New York City. And when I was in that work study program, I decided to, I said, I need to go into restaurants immediately because I've never worked in a restaurant, but I was going to school to learn how to cook. And only time I worked in restaurants was like front of house. I did serving tables and stuff like that, but I never cooked in a restaurant. So I said, I need to go and cook. And I worked at this place in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and it was pretty dirty. It was pretty bad, but but it was the only place that was going to hire me at the time, and I felt like I immediately need to know how bad it was going to be in order for me to understand how good it was going to be. I don't know why I had that mentality, but I was prepared for the worst. So I knew that it was just, I knew I was going to work my way up. And that's sort of how I started.
Okay. And did anyone give you, I don't know, the right advice or the helping hand you needed?
Well, one of my chef instructors at that very time, he planted this seed in me, and he told me that, a lot of people want to be chefs, and he was talking to all of us, but he said a lot of people want to be chefs. A lot of people come into this industry, and it was really during a big craze in the United States where the Food Network was really popular, and all these young, handsome, beautiful chefs were like all over TV. So it was very glamorous to be a chef in the United States around that time. And so he really was like, you have to love it. You have to love all of it. You have to love the hard work of it. You have to love the food of it. You have to love the culture. And if you don't love it, then you should not do it. And I struggled with that for months because I didn't love it. I just was sort of doing it because people said I was good at it. My mom, when I was bringing home these different recipes from the Caribbean that I was just sort of imitating, my mom was like, oh, wow, this is delicious. Maybe you should cook for a living. And I said, oh, no, it's too much work. I'm not going to do that. And so I didn't, it didn't drive me. But when he said that to me, I really thought about it. And I fell in love with it shortly after. And I think he was, Chef Michael, he was the one who really kind of helped me understand the journey ahead and for me to want a little bit more than what was right in front of me, to really sort of search for the love of not only just being in the kitchen, but the culture of restaurants and the culture of making food. So.
All right, thank you. So now, Laëtitia, do you want to tell us more about your journée? Comment en es-tu arrivée là? Ah, on t'entend pas, le son.
I wanted to be a cook since my childhood, and my parents really support me to do it, but they are the only ones. So it was a bit hard when I began because it was the beginning of Top Chef. So this job is going to be popular at this time. Sorry for my English, but I try for you.
No, thank you, Laëtitia.
And when I began Ferrandi, it's a big French school. We were girls were like 10% maybe in the school. And it was very hard because all the teachers and chefs said that it's good to be a girl in the kitchen at home, but not in a professional way. So I found my first support when I met Vérane and Estherelle Payani and Paul Masson was the first women who stand me and help me to talk about that and try to do more place for women in a professional way, because I couldn't understand and couldn't imagine that it could be a subject that I am a girl, yes, but what the problem with that? So I didn't realize, of course, and maybe it's a chance, because if I knew all the things I had to do at the beginning to do my place in a kitchen, maybe I change my mind and do something else. So it's a long journey, but.
And also, Laëtitia, you were one of the first in France to talk about these issues, about the problems in the kitchen, about for women, especially violence or harassment or all this. In France, we were a bit late with the Me Too movement. I mean, I don't even think we had one, but you were one of the few chefs in France, and female chefs, who talked to journalists and said what was wrong in the kitchen culture we have in France. So what made you be that brave? I mean, pourquoi tu as eu autant de courage, en fait?
I'm not sure that it was courage at the beginning. I didn't know that it's a big thing. So for me, it was normal to talk about this, because the first girl who came to me to say, okay, could you explain me what's your experience in your job? And I just talk with her like I can talk with a friend with a tea, and okay, so sometimes the chef shouts, sometimes I can see violence, but sometimes, okay, it's not sometimes, it's every day, but it's normal, you know, it's the job. And so it began like this, really simply, because for me it was horrible in a way, but normal in another way. So and after that, when the first paper, je sais pas comment on dit, est sorti dans les journaux.
Article, the first articles, or yeah, it was in a newspaper.
It was like a bomb. I received many messages and mails, and the TV called me, and it was like I didn't know that it could engendrer.
Yeah, launch such a movement.
And at this point, I realized that it's important to talk about that, and that's why I continue. And I met few people who helped me in this. I don't know if it's not a war for me, because I want to do it without violence, but I want to. Je veux bien que tu traduises. Je veux qu'on sorte de cette banalisation de la violence et que on...
So you want people to stop thinking violence is normal in the kitchen, and to change that culture. It means to talk about it more and more, because otherwise everybody thinks it's normal to have this kind of toxic ambience in the professional kitchens.
Thank you.
I can translate whenever. Tell me. So, okay. Now maybe we can have Amanda explain what was your journey?
Hi, everybody. My journey. I don't know, it's been so long. I graduated from college in New York City, and then I moved to Hong Kong right afterwards for fun. And when I was there, I was like, ooh, I like this. I like traveling. This is good. This is what I want to do with my life. But I also needed to pay for it. And I literally had no skills, like nothing. And the only thing I liked to do was cook. And I was like, well, I guess if I learned how to cook, I could, take that with me all around the world, and it would pay for my travels. So I came back to New York, and I went to cooking school, and then I've just been here ever since. Many years later, I started to travel with it, but I just kept cooking in New York. And it turns out sort of that I mean, hopefully I'm good at it. I'm still here. But I also really liked it. I loved kitchens. I love the environment. It's like I found my home with, the geeks and freaks that work in kitchens, and it was great. I just, and then I continued in it until I eventually had nothing left to do but to open my own restaurant, because I worked anywhere that I wanted to work. It's my very short journey to get here.
No, but also I think when you look for a restaurant, you had hard time getting finance, and at that time maybe you realized what it was to be a woman in this industry. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because for the first restaurant, I wasn't actually, I only have one restaurant. I've always only had one restaurant, but I had a little dirt candy and now I have a bigger dirt candy. And the first one I opened with my own money because it was tiny. It was, like I sat 18 people basically on top of each other. But for the second one, when I knew I wanted to open this one and I did start looking for funding, it was just impossible. Like nobody wanted to, back me. I mean, I also, I'm like, oh, I'm an all vegetable restaurant. That doesn't scream like big returns to investors. It's not like steak and truffles and big wines. It's, like, I don't know, sodas and vegetables. Hard to make a lot of money. But I just couldn't. Nobody wanted to like join. And when I was like talking to investors, they were like, well, maybe it could turn into like a late night pizza place. And I was like, well, that's not really what I want to do. And they were like, but you have to make back the money in 3 years. And I was like, that's impossible. I can't sell that many vegetables. And then I actually heard this really like, it sort of broke my heart, but there was this really interesting statistic that came out that it was more likely for a first time young male chef to get an investor than a female chef that has a proven record to get an investor. I mean, that's a crazy statistic, but they would rather spend money on the male chef than the female chef, even when she, is already well established. Mm-hmm. And I mean, at the time I got it too, because it's really, to me, so much of this is we have such a problem in the media, which is changing, but so much of the focus was on, male chefs, and that's who gets the press and that's who gets the awards and all the articles written about them in the stars. And, that's where you're going to make money if you're an investor. And, so many of the people you saw on TV, like Mashama said, were these like, young, hot male chefs on the Food Network. And they're getting all the attention, and it's so much harder to get that as a woman.
Because you think the marketing for female chef is still an issue? Like, I mean, no one knows how to market a woman in this industry.
Yeah, we have terrible lobbying firms for us. Yeah, I think it's getting a lot better, and I think over the last couple of years, the media is really focused on making it more diverse who they cover and a lot more equality. But it took a long, long time to get here until, I mean, I don't know, maybe they ran out of people to cover and then they ended up having to cover women. But it became so apparent after a while. And, there were things that were something like Top Chef. In the end, you could see that even though women didn't win it often, and they have more now, but at least the optics, you would have like an even group of men and women, and that was really good. But then you would see and still like print media, Gods of Food, where you had those 3 men on the cover and not a single woman talked about in that issue from Time magazine. So I don't think that would now be published. I think we've moved way past that, but I certainly don't think we're perfect yet. We still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I think also a lot of male chefs have run out of things to say. I mean, new things to say. So it's good to have other people being asked about what they think and their views. So, Hélène, you're the last one. How did you go into gastronomy, and why are you working with rankings?
So obviously I'm not a cook or a sommelier, so I don't work in a restaurant, and my background is more marketing and business. So I know how to do marketing. I know how to market everything, by the way. But I've spent my first 15 years in big companies, marketing brands and consumer goods. But I put my first foot in gastronomy and hospitality probably 8 years ago when I started working for Relais and Chateau Association. And then I moved to the UK following my husband. And I found a job at 50 Best. So managing this always more influential ranking system, ranking restaurants in the world for 5 years. And then I came back to France and I joined La Liste, which is another ranking system event organizer based in France, but working on global gastronomy as well. So I continue the same type of job, but definitely very close to restaurants and male and female chefs. And I think that when you work on ranking, rating guides, you end up having a responsibility. So you can't stay totally neutral. And this responsibility is also to commit at least a little bit to causes or to people who deserve a bigger share of voice. So that's how I started, working closely with female chefs, all over the world, and giving to them a better visibility.
Yeah, because you were a big advocate for the Best Female Chef Award, the world Best Female Chef, but also the Asian Best Female Chef, Latin American Best Female Chef, and do you think that made a change for women in the industry to have those prizes existing?
Yes, the Best Female Chef Award is very controversial. I totally agree, because there are positives and negatives to this award that is based on gender. Of course, we do not want to award people based on gender. However, when I joined, this award was already existing, and it was the award who was gathering the biggest media attention after #1 in the world. And I thought this award is a great opportunity to give a share of voice to a role model, a female chef who will be able to tell her story and use the media to speak for the other women. So as long as I had such a powerful media tool, I thought, why should I get rid of it? Maybe year after year, when the situation is much more balanced between male and female chefs, I'll get rid of it. Or I would always answer a journalist, when there's a female chef at the top of the 50 best, we'll get rid of this award. But in the meantime, my calculation is very simple. There was more positives than negatives to this award. So we continued using this award to give every year a new female chef a much bigger share of voice than all the other awards.
Yeah, it's true. I agree with that. So I want to also say to everybody listening to us that you can send me questions and I will ask them for you, to all our beautiful women here, beautiful and smart women here. In the meantime, I'll go on with my questions. So now that you are all managing a team and managing your restaurant, or you're at the top of what you wanted to achieve somehow, how do you implement changes regarding the place of women, but not just that? I mean, what are your views on what need to change in gastronomy, and how do you implement these changes? So who wants to go first? Paz, maybe you can start. We can start with you again, because I know you are managing gender balanced team in sommellerie in all the restaurants from the Peak Group. Yes,
and but also it's part of the discussion that when a woman is a chef, then there is also something that happens also we give a lot of opportunities to women, but also I think there are not so many men that wants to be driven by women. So I am mostly unbalanced at the time at this moment, and I have nearly all chef sommelier women. And before there were all men in this position. So it's not because I only search women, it's because also I think there is not many men that would or something like this happens. Do
you receive CVs, from men? Do men ask you to come and work for you?
Yes, but this particular, not the same amount as women. I can say. So there is a like a negative discrimination, like in the other way, and but I'm trying always to do the balance and to have a woman and men in the teams. But for the question, so what I want to change is, and what I'm aiming to change is that when, for example, one of the things that I think is important when a woman is pregnant or will have a child, and she's the chef sommelier, for example, I will like to really do the opportunity to this woman not to leave the service and adapt to their times and adapt the position to what she needs. Because I don't want to lose more women in the service wise. And I think there are many people, talented people that I see leaving the service because of the different things, but mostly the very demanding hours, or as well the time of the day that requires this job. So we want to really, if this chef sommelier wants to work here for the lunch service and she can't for the night service, so we adapt the team and we're going to make sure that this chef sommelier continues and that she has all that she needs to continue on the service. And so this is important. Then in the society, we don't have a lot of daycares of babies during the night shifts, which would be also a solution. But also other thing, I think it's the comfort of the women when working in the restaurant, and in the kitchen is different, but in the when we are in the service, there is a lot of places that demands and high heels and I want to take that. I want to everybody can dress as they want, as they feel comfortable. They have to have a coherence in their team with what we dress. But I don't like to see people suffering, women suffering because they have to use high heels in very hard floor, and so this I want to take away the high heels. If they want to use, they use them. If not, no. and the same with a lot of things that we are asked to do, and that maybe life didn't prepare you to this. You study wine, you do the wine service, you do all this, but there are some things that maybe we can train women to make easier their daily life. And this is like very basic things,
work-life balance.
Yeah, exactly, and things to do that maybe you have to do because if you are in a luxury restaurant, you need to have some to follow some things, but about the hair, about the makeup, and about many things. And I want to that this thing is not something time consuming for the woman, because men doesn't. I mean, it's so different the preparation of a man for a service than the preparation of a woman. Yes. And I want to give all the tools to women to do this very fast and doesn't take so much time to prepare. So well, this is like from big things to details, but I really want to
important. We all need that
help and to give and also what I'm doing is giving opportunities to women, young. Because I'm very afraid that when they have family, they will leave the service. I think we have to think about this. So we have to give opportunity to women, even they are young, but they're very, competent and they can do the job. And when I discuss with another person that we are hiring, I say this is this woman is young, but she can do it now. And we have to give the opportunity now, because at 35 years, she will leave the service. So it's now, and we don't have to wait for 40 years, you know. So changing a little bit the mind, and don't say, she's very young, she can do it. If she's capable, if she has the experience, give the opportunity.
Okay, yeah, we all need your advice for fast makeup. Mashama, I know you have to go in like 12 minutes, so can you tell us what you want to change?
Yes.
How you do it?
Well, I don't know. How do I do it? I don't know. I want to change a lot. Excuse me. I'm on a book tour right now. Me and my business partner wrote a book together. It's called Black, White, and the Gray. And we are on a Southern book tour. We are going to 13 different restaurants in 11 cities. And so we've been to 9 already. And there have been a few restaurants that have been run by women. There have been a few restaurants that have been run by men. Not really half and half, but like maybe 70-30 is sort of like the average men to women. And there's still that attraction for men to work for men and women to work for women. Like there's not a lot of crossover. So like I was in Sean Brock's restaurant, all men. I was in Juliet Sullivan's restaurant in the same city of Nashville, all women. And maybe there were not all women, there were a few men too. So I just feel like the messaging from the perspective of the cook is still very related to their mentor. Like they really just see themselves and they want to go work for someone who looks like them. So I think like shifting the perspective of we all have something to provide the cook, but more than just commonality of our sexuality, I think is important, you know? And for me in my kitchen, I have I was just gonna say I have all men working for me, but that's not true. I have one savory cook who's a woman, and then the rest of pastry, you know? So then you have that split off too, where you have women who work in pastry and then the men who work in the savory. And I think as I stand as an example, who's really solely a savory cook, I try to promote that, you know, equality, and we can all do the job together. But I think to Paz's point, I think they see what they can't have. And I think a lot of women come in this industry and they see they're not gonna have kids when working in this industry. Like it's not necessarily a thing. I think I've probably met one pregnant line cook throughout my entire career, you know, which is sad because you want to be able to have the life that you want to have. You want to cook for a living and you also want to have a family. And I think that because people don't see that, they don't think that they can achieve it. One of our managers literally quit because she said she wanted to have a family and she did not see how she was going to have a family and work at a restaurant because that's growing. We've only been open 7 years and we want to do a lot. And she was in a position to really help move the restaurant forward and really kind of cement herself and be there as an executive, you know, not now, but maybe 2-3 years from now. And that was too long for her. So she said, no, I want to get married. My boyfriend and I are great right now. And maybe he's the one, and I don't want to miss this opportunity, right? So so she chose that opportunity instead of the other opportunity, which is, you know, fine.
But did you try to convince her to stay? I mean, this is a question from Stéphane Méjanès. Hello. Yes. But how do you make sure women stay and maybe tell men that it's also something they can ask, you know, to arrange their schedule to take care of their family when they work in restaurants? So did you try to convince her or arrange the schedule for her?
Absolutely. I tried to convince her, but I think that she already convinced herself. I think initially the policies have to be there. I think it has to be, okay, we have to be upfront with the policies so people can actually see what they can do. I think transparency in that is really important. And I think that's one of the things that we're actually working on. Like, this is the transparency of it. Because we have two fathers that worked with us, right? They both just had children while they were working with us. One had one child or a little young, and then another one. But two fathers are there. Young fathers are working there. They've been working there for 2, 3, 4 years.
Did they ask for time off?
Yes, they asked for time off, but not for paternity leave. One asked for 2 weeks off for paternity leave, and we gave him time off. The other one never asked for time off. I think he is a little bit more desperate for money. He just never asked for time off. He just kind of, you can see on days where he needs time off, but he doesn't ask for it. So I think that being transparent with the policies and shifting the policies to put women in front. I think we have to be front and center. And I think we have to understand that that's important right now, because I think that men this whole society is created for men. And I think in order for us to really start to take care of each other, we have to put each other up front and up in center and focus on that. And I think for us, transparency with paid time off, having maternity leave, and creating a space for women to feel included, I think is probably where we need to start.
Yes, but maybe it's also a way to, we need to change the idea that it's a woman thing. Maybe it's just a family thing, and so it's men and women.
Yeah, but is that like, I get that. I think that's fair. But I guess because we've been in this, patriarchal system, it's almost like, well, why can't it be for women right now, But I do understand that it should just be a human thing, and we just need to like X that out and say, okay, we just are all the same, and we all need the same things in order to be successful in this industry. I understand that too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Mashama, it was super nice having you with us.
Thank you.
I don't need to rush.
I was going to slip away, but thank you.
You can stay a few more minutes. Yeah, maybe it would be good for Amanda to go on about all those issues and changes that we need.
Well, it's funny because pre-pandemic, I probably would have had a very different answer. And it's different in the States than it is in France, but my feeling is that we've actually lost a lot of women in the industry to other jobs. I feel like they didn't come back, and by and large, I can see that from who we're hiring in my kitchen here, which we used to get a lot more women. I'm a woman. I work in vegetarian. It's like a natural fit. So beforehand, our kitchen probably was 60-70% women. And I honestly think this time around, maybe we've only gotten, apart from pastry, maybe like 2 or 3 applications from women line cooks. We're just not getting them, which to me makes it really apparent that they've left the industry. Obviously, there's still some, but there's not as many as they used to be. And that's who I think has really disappeared. And probably found a better job. And so my feeling now is we really have to capture the next generation, because there's still women in cooking schools, and we have to start making this job seem really appealing so that they don't leave it quickly, for all the reasons that everybody has said. And what we've done here, which is not just for women, but for everybody, is, we've really changed the culture of the restaurant. We changed how we pay people. We are offering health insurance now, which I know seems so weird if you're from France, but in the States, we just don't do that. And in New York City, it's really brutally expensive. So now we offer health insurance.
And also you don't have childcare, right? Or do you have free childcare?
Well, me at the restaurant, definitely not.
No,
but, in the state,
does the state provide for that?
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like such different problems. But again, like then it makes it impossible for somebody to want to work in the kitchen and have childcare. That's down the road for us. But we're paying people a lot more, so their life seems like more sustainable. You know, right now everybody starts off in our kitchen at $25 an hour, which is a big jump from pre-pandemic. We've also totally redone our menu, and it's a smaller tasting menu, and we're charging a lot more. And it's working. I can talk to you all about it. My food costs are great. And you know, because we were losing these cooks, and you know, I was like, it's New York City. You can't live here on $30,000 a year. You can barely live on what I'm paying them, which ends up being $50,000 plus a year. But at least it's a little bit more, and we're giving more paid days off. Like everybody gets their week holiday and it's paid. That's really unusual for a restaurant of my size. Extra sick days, and we're actually asking people not to come in when they're sick, which is really different than pre-pandemic when we were like, look, unless you're dead, you have to come to work. And if you don't come to work, I'm going to kill you. So you're going to be dead. So like, you just have to come to work. But now, you know, we're trying to be a lot more sensitive and being like, no, actually, if you're sick, you should stay home. And we're really trying to instill a lot of sort of like more professionalism and secondary or tertiary education. We have all kinds of programs set up and financial guidance. And so ways that I don't expect people to stay with me forever, but maybe more than 2 months, which was also happening pre-pandemic. It was like this real revolving door because there's so many restaurants and not enough employees. So the labor shortage we're also having in the States was happening pre-pandemic. Now it's just so much worse. But we do want to sort of capture that next generation and really, you know, get them involved more in their career and not think of it as so disposable, because I think there was this feeling that it's just a job, and it's not just a job. It can be an amazing career, and somewhere along the way we've lost that. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yes, and I think Mashama, you did also increase the pay and go for tasting menus and change the cost of the food.
Yeah, I don't think we could have survived if we would have done it, and it would have been a real waste. After pandemic, it was scary to open up for 25%, as you all know, and not have the guests in the room. And we needed to do something very drastic, and it really helped because it allowed us fewer people on the line cooking, and in order to have a higher revenue. And we've increased our minimum is 15 now, which it was like, you know, 12 or 13, you know, pre-pandemic. And but if you have experience more than a year and a half, you can make $20 an hour at the Gray. So it's a lot more money. You know, our payroll was $90,000 for 2 weeks. So it's a lot more money than we're used to for payroll, but we offer health insurance. We offer 401k, which is, you know, retirement fund. The United States is not set up for universal healthcare or universal childcare, which I think really prohibits people from doing jobs that they're passionate about because they can't necessarily afford to make a living. So, but, you know, so we try to supplement that, you know. Yeah.
So yeah, it's true. In France, we have healthcare and we have childcare, but it's still very, very difficult to change, or maybe to just put the children problems or family work family balance on both men and women, and not just women. And it's easy to keep working long hours and don't question that. And keep questioning why women wants to have more time with the family. So maybe we can talk about what's going on in France. Laëtitia, you're going to be the one representing the French chef. What are the changes you're trying to implement in your restaurant in terms of food, in terms of restaurant culture?
First of all, I wanted to open my own restaurant because it's very important for me to find a way to organize good planning. I don't have children at this time, but I wanted to have the reflection before. So my first reflection was to close my restaurant on Sunday and Saturday, plus Tuesday and Wednesday evening. So, for example, my sommelier, so it's a male, has 2 children, and it's very comfortable for him to have a weekend with his family and 2 evening at home too. So my staff is paid for 39 hours per week, and they work not 1 hour plus. So
you mean per week, 39 hours per week?
Per week, sorry, yes. And I wanted to create something more cool. I mean, because of the family, and because for me, it's one of the problem of violence. For example, in the kitchen, it's because everybody is exhausted, and it's the big point. So if you have the time to see your family, your friends, to go to restaurant, to go to cinema, whatever, you can be more calm and more concentrate at work. So this is one thing. And the other thing is that I don't have big tricks because of the pandemic crisis. I just opened my restaurant for 6 months, so I have j'ai pas de conseil. But
I have advice, because also in your restaurant, I think the way you treat the people who work with you is different. La façon dont tu travailles avec les gens et l'ambiance. I think because you saw, I mean, it's not something you can talk about it, but I don't think it's something that you were taught at school. But managing a restaurant, you saw it in other places. It meant to be really have a big hierarchy, and someone is making the decision, and everybody has to follow, and everybody's and the chef is shouting and yelling. And no one prepared you to change that. But I think in your restaurant, you do that.
Yeah, because
tu changes l'ambiance dans ton restaurant, c'est complètement différent ta façon de travailler.
Yeah, but it's natural. I don't try to be different. It's just because for me, it's normal to be nice with the guy who work with me. And furthermore, I'm going to many schools to organize meeting because I think it's very important to create a link between young cooks and us, because I want to explain them that there is many ways to manage, and many ways to prevent the violence. And I want them to have a reflection to find solutions to manage. And also I want to show that it's possible to be a woman, to be young, and to have a restaurant or whatever, to do this job. I'm
you mean to have like a model, a model?
I don't want to be a model, but I'm one of them. We are numerous, but in many schools they never see that. So for me, it's very important to go there and to talk with them and to show that it's possible. It's not harder. It's not necessary. It's just necessary to have the good contacts and to go in. Yes, of course, when you are going to a bank, in maybe 10 banks, you have maybe 2 just what the guy is listening. So it's boring and it's shit, but it's necessary to go away, to continue
to keep doing it, to keep trying. Do you think French culinary school prepare the young people well, or are there problems there?
It's not a subject. I never have.
You mean they don't talk about it?
No, because it's not necessary, and because I mean in the big French gastronomy with the Michelin stars and all the shitty things, because it's very sad that women are so comment on dit, elles sont tellement, je veux bien que tu traduises, elles sont tellement discrètes et elles sont tellement effacées dans ce milieu que je comprends pas comment ils font leur sélection alors qu'on est de plus en plus nombreuses dans les cuisines.
A lot of women cooking in restaurants are very discreet and don't dare saying no or don't dare saying anything. And you think in school they should probably prepare the woman, a young woman, to react and to say no. And maybe when they also choose their candidates, they should maybe make a selection, or I don't know. Tu crois qu'ils doivent faire une sélection aussi à l'entrée dans les écoles ou pas?
Non, je pense qu'ils les protègent pas et du coup, il y en a beaucoup qui abandonnent dans les 2-3 premières années.
Okay, so Laëtitia is saying school don't protect women and the young women there. And when they are thrown into the industry, usually what happens is that they quit after a few months or a few years because it's too hard and no one told them how to behave or how to survive in those environments.
Il n'y a pas d'espoir. Enfin, il y a aucune solution qui leur est apportée dans les 2-3 premières années. Donc, en fait, c'est une fatalité. Donc,
Oui, alors, they're often alone, thrown in a male's kitchen, and that's the issue as well, because then they have no hope or no one to talk to. Il n'y a personne à qui parler, en fait. Voilà.
Non.
Et on va en parler juste après, justement, de la we're going to talk about this, about solidarity among women, because I think this is what we are all still missing. So, Hélène, peut-être que tu veux, you want to add something about the changes that you want to implement?
Well, listening to the chefs and PAS, I think in schools, they should really put more focus on management in kitchens. I mean, kitchens or restaurants or companies, and a chef is also a manager. Mm-hmm. So how to better manage the staff, because without staff, and we can listen to them, it's always harder to find staff. Without retaining staff, finding new staff, so be a better manager. Chefs are going to face bigger and bigger problems. So that's one focus cooking schools should have. And there's another thing that probably cooking schools should include is also, if we know already that there is a gender problem, it's more difficult for women, the culture in the kitchens is more difficult for women. It's also to teach both boys and girls, male and female students, who they can refer to when they have a problem, how they have to deal if they have a problem, both of them, because when there is a problem, appearing in the kitchen, it's also what is the legal framework, who are the people they can talk to, what are the consequences also of certain behaviors. So there is a lot of education to do at the very beginning of a career. And if people is more aware of this framework on how to be a better manager, then we'll have faith that the next generations of cooks and hospitality people will be better in the future. Sorry, that's a wrap up of what I just heard.
No, it's very good, very interesting. We need to include men, and I know some men are listening to us today, so thank you for being here and being interested in listening to all of those wonderful women ideas. I want to, there is a question that was sent to me about feeling included, and it's linked also to a question I wanted to ask you about solidarity among women. So as you all said, we need a reference, we need someone to talk to. And did you already experiment that? I mean, that kind of solidarity between women and, well, first of all, can you answer me very shortly if you think there is now a solidarity among women working in the industry? So, Laëtitia, peut-être?
I feel it since maybe 2 or 3 years, but maybe it existed before, but I didn't just feel it. But I had some bad experiences too with women, so I'm not pretty sure.
Are you part of a women's club or something? Tu fais partie d'un réseau ou quelque chose comme ça?
Not really, but when I had, for example, the day before La Liste, the dinner was for me amazing. We were like maybe 30 chefs, only women, and it was amazing. We talk about everything without kitchen, and I didn't feel competition or something like that. So maybe now it's easier between us because we are numerous and we have a link and we have the possibility to talk and to defend. But when I began to cook, I had the first experience with a brigade where we were maybe 10 women, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah. So yes, Hélène, I can maybe go to you now, because it's true that you organize these dinners with just female chefs or women working in gastronomy at different jobs in gastronomy. And why do you think it's important? And yeah, do you think there is a solidarity now between female chefs or women in gastronomy?
Well, the dinner we organized the day before of the La Liste garden party was very spontaneous, to be honest. But it was not the first dinner or breakfast or whatever that I organized. But it's been a few years I realized that female chefs didn't know each other. And they told me, by the way, that they go to culinary conferences, gastronomy events. But you know, it's most of the time it's big groups, everybody talk to each other, but they don't have the quality time to really speak to each other. So the first time I organized a female chef breakfast at a big 50 Best event, I realized that, you know, they met face to face for the first time, they exchanged numbers, and I thought, why, you don't know each other? You keep probably bumped into each other, but you don't have your phone numbers. You don't know that you can talk to each other, ask for advice directly. So I was surprised. So I think the basic is to put them into relation and really, you know, take every opportunity so that they might have quality time to talk to each other, enjoy some moments. So that's why I just do it, you know, and I just find it super easy and super refreshing, you know, it boosting myself in my own job.
Well, yeah. So what about you, Amanda? Do you feel that in America there is a solidarity between women? And yeah, are you part of a women club or society?
I'm part of so many women's clubs here. They have just sprung up in the last couple of years. No, I really am. And we used to have an organization called the Women's Chefs and Restaurateurs, and the James Beard House has been pretty active in promoting women chefs together. And I think it's sort of like how Hélène said, that it's an issue of time. Like, we all know that there's other chefs out there, but we just don't have the time to sit down and meet. And so when we can create those opportunities, it's great. Because then you actually get to be like, oh, I hate running my restaurant, I cry every day. And then the person next to you is like, oh, I hate running my restaurant too, I cry every day too. And you're like, oh, wow, you're my new best friend, we can cry together. So I think that solidarity is there. It's just really hard to find the time. And in general, women operators tend to operate much smaller organizations, and they're more hands-on. So they don't have the time to go everywhere and take nights off from their restaurant and, you know, just sit down and have dinner with other female chefs. Like, I'm at my restaurant almost every night. So there just isn't that time. But no, I definitely think there's solidarity. And I personally haven't found that there's a lot of competition between us. We're just, you know, there's so few of us whatever spots are there.
You have felt that there is competition or no competition?
Not at all. I think we've all been really, really supportive of each other. You know, what's good for one is good for everybody in the end.
So what about you, Paz, in the wine world? Do female sommeliers have a solidarity, and do you know each other? Do you have nights where you gather and drink some wine together?
Well, solidarity, yes. I think I am here because I was helped with by women, and I have a big list of women that help me and that inspire me. And it's true that I want to thank to these women. So I always were thinking about women as well. For example, for the contest for Best Sommelier of Americas or Best Sommelier of Argentina, to get trained also by women. So if I didn't know this woman, I wanted to know her, and I contacted her. So and to get the direct experience with this person, and as people was very solidarity. Well, I feel values solidarity about me. I try to be as like this. I mean, I have to be very thankful and always help women if they need. I always I'm trying to name a parity, and not because they're women, because they're great in their jobs, and never forget about this. But I am not in a wine club of women. I am not naturally going to wine clubs of women.
Why?
Because
Why?
because I like to see also the diversity. I want a woman tasting in a club of men and being the base taster. I want the recognition, and if we separate, they can't see how great tasters we are. So we need to mix, and we need to not separate, and even be more present in the events where for example, we're blind tasting, or we're doing things that I'm not saying that men do this and women do that, but yes, it's true that there is a lot of this. I never heard a man saying, "Oh, this woman is a great taster. I saw her tasting blind. She's amazing," because we don't spend a lot of time together. So I'm trying to mix all this. But
do you think women are not showing off enough then?
Yeah, we have to learn a little bit from men for that. But also in solidarity, I think also it's in Instagram. For example, if we see our own Instagrams of everybody and the history of the photos and the Instagrams, I want to see how many pictures there is with women, that you celebrate the woman and you expose the woman, and how many years this happened is because today everybody is pushing women, and it's great, but also see men and women, what they expose, what they take pictures, what they want to put in front, and how long ago is all pictures with men, is all pictures with women. I mean, it's good to use our power of communicating to expose more women and be solidarity up in that as well. So I think that is, I try, it's not on purpose. I feel naturally the instant sharing about if I'm doing something that inspires me and I really like, I want to share it instantly. But I want also to expose the women that are doing great job and that they're role models, because they inspire me, and I want to show. So if all of us see the Instagrams of men or women, of chefs, how many pictures there is of women in an Instagram of a big chef, and what we want to expose, what we want to show to the world. So I think this is very powerful, And as we see in many organizations, that sometimes there is all men. Well, we in the daily Instagrammer that is not so big. I mean, maybe you have more followers and less followers. It is not important. The important is what you want to show and who wants to be solidary with whom. No, and not because it's the maybe famous chef, but it's doing a great job. I want to show it. So I think this social media is very powerful in the solidarity.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we are all part of the solution. We can all make a change and bring women forward all together. And but also, Paz, I mean, the differences with Argentina is that over there it's normal for women to work in wine. I mean, there are many sommeliers who are women in Argentina. So were you surprised when you arrived in France and see this very patriarchal world of wine?
Yes, exactly. Yes, I before arriving in France, I never thought about it. It's like I never thought about, but because in Argentina, we, my chef and she's also sommelier for 5 years. She's woman, and the director of the school where then I work and I study is woman, and then I have like a 10, list of women that are chef as well, chef sommeliers, and even in a country very macho and very machist like Argentina. So there is a long list of women, and it's very inspiring. And so yeah, when I came to France, I didn't thought about it, and so when I arrived, I said, oh my God, because when the client tells you, no, I want to be served by a man, it's like very like, wow, this never happened to me before. No, it's like, no, but I'm sommelier. No, but I want the sommelier man. I don't want woman. It's like you're a woman, you're a foreigner, you're young, it's not the kind of sommelier that I know and I can trust. So I was very shocked about this, and at the same time, I think the contest, winning contest, helped me to meet many sommeliers. I think that this is tricky because they were inviting me because I was winning, because I was a winner in contest, or because I have made like contest, and not because I'm just a sommelier woman coming to live in France. Both things, I don't know, but sometimes I feel grateful for the contest because it gives me the power to get in some groups that it would have been very difficult in other way. So yeah, it was a big shock.
I think one good advice to give to women working in the food industry, in wine or restaurants as a chef, is also to do as many contests as possible.
Yes, but in the contest, we have to change as well the judges. So we have to do the contest, but we have to have 50-50 in the judges, because still today in 2021, we don't have a best sommelier of the world woman. So we have to really work together to have also the judges that, judge in a fair way. Like,
That's true.
But yes, contest can help.
Yes, in France, we need more women to do Bocuse d'Or or the Meilleur Ouvrier de France. We need all these contests to attract more women, I think. Laëtitia, did you think about doing contests? T'as fait des concours pour avoir des prix?
Not really. I'm afraid about that. I'm not sure to have the good way to think. If I lose, I'm gonna be horrible. So it's not a good idea.
Okay, well, I needed to end this conversation, which I love, and I hope everybody does as well. So to close it, I would like to know if you would, what do you think French American Women Chef Society could bring. I mean, would you like to talk more between you, or do you need to learn from each other from both sides of the ocean? And how can we help each other, France and the US? Maybe Amanda, you need to say something because you know both countries so well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be great. Let's keep the conversation going. I think there's so much more to learn, and you know, the more we can share our knowledge with each other, the better. And I think these talks are so important and they're so helpful. Not just, I mean, for me, because I always want to learn, and but I also think it's really important for the next generation to hear them and to be included in them, and to know that there's actually always sort of like a safe space to be able to go to talk to and to learn from their peers, and to see that, you know, there's something that they can strive for and attain. So absolutely.
Does anyone want to add something to that? I think the pandemic taught us to be on Zoom, and so it allowed us to talk a lot more with our peers and to meet more people than we used to, in a way. I mean, we are virtually meeting people, but during the pandemic, I had Zoom with several times with 10, 12 different female chefs together to talk about life or work. So I think this is wonderful to have had the opportunity to have all you together today. And to the 50 people listening to us as well, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for the French Consulate in New York. We have all the listeners there. Thank you for the
team of sommeliers. So 3 women now.
It was very interesting, and I think, yes, we need to have this conversation more often and to keep it open. So I will make sure we do. And thanks to the French Embassy Consulate in New York for organizing this. We've been waiting almost 2 years now to do it. And at the end of it, it was great to do it on Zoom. I think we would have never been able to all go to New York because of our tight schedule or full schedule. So yes, thank you very much. And thank you, Chiara and Fanny, for putting all this together. And I will send you some questions and comments that I received that I didn't have the time to share. And in the meantime, you can write to me if you have any question, or if you want to watch the documentary. It's the link is still open until I think the end of the week on Vimeo, and hope to see you all soon for real.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Merci.
Bye-bye.
You're the best.